The transmission arrived without warning, an icy ripple across every communication relay in the Sol system. Screens flickered, static surged, and then a towering alien figure materialized above the Terran command war table, silver armor polished like bone, crest glowing with crimson veins. High Marshal Veldar Karun of the Vorthal Dominion stared down at humanity as if gazing upon a stain. "This judgment is unanimous," Veldar declared, his voice a deep metallic resonance. "Earth has been deemed unstable, aggressive, and unworthy of coexistence. For the preservation of the galaxy, your species will be pacified." The hologram dissolved. Silence clung to the command chamber, thick as dust. Commander Aaron Holt exhaled once, steady and controlled, though his pulse hammered in his throat. He had expected hostility, never a death sentence. General Ramos broke the silence. "They just declared extermination. No negotiations." Aaron kept his voice level. "They want a quick surrender. Fear makes empires bold." "Or stupid," muttered Admiral Lennox. Aaron didn't smile. He returned his focus to the tactical interface spreading across the glass table. A tide of crimson icons, Vorthal vessels, was already migrating towards Sol from multiple vectors. Not a scouting formation. A complete war front. The room erupted into panicked debate. Politicians demanded retreat plans, diplomats spoke of appeasement, military leaders argued for immediate countermeasures. Aaron listened for 30 seconds, then slammed his palm against the table. "Enough." His command tone settled the chaos. "If we start fracturing now," Aaron said, "we lose before they arrive." Ramos folded his arms. "You're assuming a fight is winnable." Aaron didn't blink. "It's winnable because the alternative is extinction. And humans have a habit of surviving what others think impossible." A few officers straightened at that. Not from pride, because they believed him. Ramos gestured to the holographic invasion path. "You've seen their fleet estimates. Hundreds of carriers. Thousands of warships. We can't match that." "We don't need to match it," Aaron replied. "We need to outthink it." His fingers danced across the holographic surface, pulling data like threads. One section of the display brightened. "Project Ragnarok," he said quietly. The room fell still. No one spoke. Even Lennox, who had clearance, avoided meeting Aaron's eye. "That project was never intended to be activated," Ramos said finally. "Its existence alone violates Concord treaties." Aaron met him head-on. "The Concord just sentenced us. The treaty is already dead." He didn't wait for permission. He tapped his wrist console and entered a coded sequence. Across Terran command, heavy blast doors unlocked with a deep metallic groan. Subterranean servers activated one by one, glowing blue beneath armored plating. Project Ragnarok was now on standby. Ramos didn't stop him. He couldn't. Hours later, Aaron walked into the Sol Defense Observatory. The wide viewport revealed Jupiter's storms swirling in the distance, red clouds churning like a wounded beast. Officers moved briskly between stations, murmuring status updates as they analyzed Vorthal flight paths. The first wave would reach Neptune in less than 2 days. Aaron approached analyst Mira Talvek, who hunched over a captured Vorthal data probe recovered months ago. She looked exhausted, the kind of exhaustion only brilliant people carried, but her mind remained razor-sharp. "You said you found something?" Mira nodded and expanded a hologram of a strange waveform pattern. "Their fleet uses a synchronization lattice across all vessels. It keeps their formation tight and increases shield coherence." Aaron studied the pattern. Unnaturally consistent. Shared between ships at near-instant speeds. "It's their strength," she continued, "but also a weak point. If we disrupt the lattice at the right moment, we can derail internal communications, maybe even cause tactical hesitation." Aaron leaned in. "Can we replicate the disruption? With enough power and wide system dispersal?" Mira hesitated. "But it requires activating all defense satellites. Even the classified ones." "Then we activate them," Aaron said. She swallowed. That means officially initiating Ragnarok. It's already in motion. Mira exhaled slowly. Then humanity might actually survive this. Survival isn't enough. Aaron returned his gaze to Jupiter. We need to make sure they never come back. Night fell over Earth. Cities dimmed their lights to reduce thermal signatures. People whispered in streets, watching skyward as if expecting the stars to fall. Underground shelters opened. Orbital elevators rerouted civilian vessels to safe zones behind Luna's shadow. Aaron descended into the deepest chamber of Terran Command, Ragnarok Control Core. The air felt colder here, walls embedded with quantum processors pulsing like a buried heart. A lone figure stood waiting, Director Alara Vance, the architect behind the project. Her expression was unreadable. "You're early," she said. "They moved faster than expected," Aaron replied. "We need to accelerate." Alara turned toward the colossal interface rising from the floor. A pale holographic sphere formed, Earth at its center, surrounded by hidden weapon arrays scattered across the solar system. "You understand," she said softly, "once Phase 1 begins, the galaxy will know we developed technology the Concord strictly forbade." Aaron remembered the First Contact massacre, alien ships carving through his childhood colony, screams echoing through dust storms. No treaty had protected them then. No oversight had intervened. "We stopped playing by their rules the moment they decided we were disposable," he said. Alara studied him for a moment, then entered her authorization. The chamber lights dimmed as Phase 1 initiated. Across the solar system, dormant nanofield generators powered up, silent, invisible, lethal in purpose. "Phase 1 is live," Alara reported. Aaron nodded. "Good." Alarms suddenly flashed across the interface. Myra's voice crackled through Aaron's comlink. "Commander, long-range sensors picked up movement beyond Neptune. Not scouts, a full assault vanguard. Dozens of cruisers, formation locked." Aaron lifted his wrist, projecting the incoming image. Silver spear-like vessels glided between stars. Their engines burned violet, leaving scars of light in the darkness. Valdar was wasting no time. "Put the fleet on alert," Aaron ordered. "No engagements unless necessary. We need more data." Mira hesitated. "Commander, we may not get a choice." Static surged. Another transmission broke through, the same crackling energy signature as before. Valdar's hologram bloomed into existence beside Aaron. This time, the alien's expression carried amusement. "Terran," Valdar said, tilting his head. "You prepare defenses. Admirable. Futile." Aaron faced him without flinching. "You attack us because you fear what we might become." "Fear?" Valdar's mandibles twitched. "We do not fear insects. We simply remove them." Aaron stepped closer. "You've misjudged us." "No," Valdar said coldly. "The galaxy judged you. I merely deliver the verdict." The transmission ended. Alara looked at Aaron. "They'll reach Earth in 48 hours. Aaron didn't respond immediately. His gaze stayed locked on the last image of the Vorthal fleet, an ocean of silver ships advancing like a storm. "Then we prepare," he said finally. He turned toward the command lift, his voice steady and sharp. "Activate global alert. Mobilize lunar defense. And signal every colony within Sol." Aaron Holt stepped onto the lift. "We have 48 hours, he said. "Let's make every second count." The doors slid shut behind him, sealing everything that came before, and everything humanity would become. The Lunar Command Oculus dimmed as incoming threat markers multiplied across its star map. Thin red lines converged toward Earth like claws closing around a throat. Engineers rushed between consoles, adjusting beam arrays and rerouting power from every reserve the colonies could spare. The tension in the air felt almost electric. Commander Aaron Holt stood at the center platform, absorbing the data in silence. A faint tremor ran through the structure, Luna's defense grid switching to wartime mode. Hidden cannons emerged from their armored housings along the moon's dark side, their barrels glowing faint blue. "Status of the Mars convoy?" Aaron asked. "Migrating into formation, sir," Admiral Lennox answered. "But they won't reach Earth orbit before the first wave hits. They'll have to intercept from the flank." "Acceptable," Aaron said. "Every angle matters." Mira Talvek appeared on the platform, tablet clutched under one arm, her expression tense. "The synchronization interference test is ready. We can initiate it during the Titan engagement." "That soon?" Aaron asked. She nodded. "We modified the transmitters on 9 outer system satellites. If it works, enemy fighters should experience short-term misalignment." Aaron considered the risks. "If it fails? Then they'll see we tried to tamper with their lattice. And they'll retaliate immediately." Aaron placed a hand on her shoulder, grounding her nerves. "We don't have the luxury of caution." Hours later, Terran ships glided above Titan's hazy atmosphere, their hulls reflecting Saturn's distant rings. A small detachment of Vorthal cruisers approached in a sleek spear formation. Their engines left trails of violet energy that shimmered like burning gas. Admiral Lennox led the operation from the carrier Helios. Aaron joined remotely from Lunar Command, watching the feed through Myra's display. "All units, maintain scatter pattern," Lennox ordered. "Do not let them cluster." Vorthal fighters surged ahead, slicing through space with surgical precision. Their coordination bordered on unnatural, every vector aligned, every correction mirrored across the formation. Mira glanced at Aaron. "This is why the lattice matters." "Then let's cut it," Aaron said. "Initiate the disruption." She activated the system. A pulse rippled through the void, silent and invisible. For a heartbeat nothing changed. Then the Vorthal formation faltered, its once perfect lines breaking as ships drifted slightly from their assigned trajectories. Lennox seized the moment. "All units, strike now." Terran corvettes burst from behind Titan's shadow. Their plasma cannons flashed, cracking through exposed flanks. The first Vorthal cruiser erupted in a violent flare, shards scattering into Saturn's orbit. Mira released a shaky breath. It worked. But victory came with a price. A second Vorthal wing retaliated with vicious precision, targeting the Helios. The carrier's shield sparked under the onslaught, struggling to absorb the barrage. "Divert energy, now!" Lennox barked. His officers scrambled. The carrier managed to hold the line, but the strain showed in its flickering shield bands. Aaron gripped the edge of the display. He couldn't help them directly, but his voice cut through the comm channel. "Lennox, pull back 30 degrees. Led them toward the interference field." The Admiral didn't question him. "Executing." The Helios pivoted away, drawing enemy ships deeper into the disrupted region. The Vorthal formation degraded rapidly. Without their synchronized link, they moved like predators blinded in one eye, dangerous, but fallible. Terran bombers swooped in from above, dropping gravitic charges that clamped onto enemy hulls. Explosions lit the battlefield in bursts of blue flame. Within minutes, the remaining Vorthal ships retreated. Not in panic, simply because their formation no longer held strategic value. Vorthal doctrine rarely tolerated improvisation. Lennox's voice came through the channel, breathless but triumphant. "Titan is secure." Aaron allowed himself a rare moment of satisfaction. "Good work." Return to defensive staging. Mira leaned against a console, trembling with adrenaline. "If they adapt, that trick won't work twice." "They won't adapt fast enough," Aaron replied. "Veldar believes we're primitive. He'll assume this was luck. And when he realizes otherwise? Then he's already lost." While Titan celebrated its narrow victory, Earth braced for the true storm. Aaron returned to the defense nexus, where strategists had assembled holographic simulations. Three-dimensional projections of the Vorthal Armada spanned the room like a forest of silver blades. The leading wave was hours away. Aaron stepped toward the central holomap. "Begin Phase 2. Elara Vance transmitted the activation code. From deep within Earth's mantle, hidden power conduits awakened. Dozens of dormant stellar arrays across the system, on asteroids, abandoned mining platforms, and disguised research stations, came online. The entire solar system hummed with new energy. Phase 2 active, Elara confirmed. The arrays will charge for the next stage. Before Aaron could respond, a communications officer shouted, "Incoming transmission from Vorthal flagship." Velvar's image filled the room, towering, metallic, cold. His eyes gleamed with cruel satisfaction. "Terran," he said, "your resistance is admirable. Futile, but admirable." "You lost at Titan," Aaron replied. "Your ships aren't invincible." Velvar's mandibles curled. "A fragment of my force was inconvenienced. Nothing more." His gaze drifted around the command chamber as if appraising a pet awaiting punishment. "You build walls," he continued. "You hide behind them. We will tear them down. Every shield you raise only lengthens your suffering." Aaron stepped forward. "You assume we're hiding." "You always hide," Velvar said. "It is your nature." Aaron didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. "We were quiet," he said, "because we were building." The alien paused. Then the transmission ended without another word. At 3:44 Earth Standard Time, the horizon burned. Aaron stood inside the upper dome of the Nexus as the night sky shifted from calm black to streaks of descending fire. The first Vorthal assault wave entered low orbit, their engines trailing violent light across the atmosphere. Global alarms blared. Cities plunged into darkness as alien EMP bursts washed through the ionosphere. Power grids collapsed, shields failed, and entire continents vanished beneath emergency blackouts. Lennox's fleet surged from lunar orbit to intercept. Their formations glided in layered precision, Earth's last shield. "Dreadnought class detected," a sensor officer announced. "It's charging a high-yield cannon." Aaron's heart stilled. "Target location?" "Lunar defense mines, sir." "Direct impact." The blast struck seconds later. A radiant beam carved a molten trench across Luna's surface, obliterating defensive structures that took decades to build. Aaron's breath loosened in controlled anger. "We hold. Launch HFY batteries. Prepare for counterfire." The battle intensified. Vorthal cruisers slashed through the upper atmosphere, leaving burning ripples in their wake. Terran interceptors darted upward, black silhouettes against a sky turning blood orange. Sparks rained across the Nexus dome as energy bolts skimmed Earth's defense shield. For a moment the entire structure trembled. Aaron held the railing until it steadied. "Elara," he said, "how long until Phase 3 is ready?" 20 minutes if the arrays remain stable," she answered. "Then keep them stable." Another blast shook the dome. Aaron steadied himself. "We survive this wave," he said, "and we take the fight back to them." He lowered his voice. "Humanity isn't finished." Outside, the sky continued burning, but so did Earth's resolve. The command dome shuddered again, its reinforced walls trembling under the pressure of orbital detonations. Aaron Holt stood firm in the center platform, eyes locked on the cascading stream of data pouring across the holomap. The first wave of the Vorthal assault had collided with Earth's defenses, and now the second wave was emerging from sublight. Their ships filled the upper atmosphere like a metallic storm front. Admiral Lennox's voice came through the tactical feed, strained but steady. "Commander, we've repelled 3 attack vectors, but we can't hold indefinitely. Their dreadnought is shifting position. It's preparing another strike." "Maintain formation," Aaron said. "Phase 3 is minutes away." Miritalvek appeared with updated telemetry. Her hair clung to her forehead, evidence of hours of uninterrupted work. "The arrays are sinking," she reported. "Once they reach full alignment, we can deploy the graviton beams." Aaron nodded. "We strike the moment they stabilize." Another tremor ran through the dome. A fragment of enemy wreckage burned across the sky, trailing molten metal as it descended. The windows flickered under the strain of overlapping shield layers. Elara Vance joined them at the central table. "I need your authorization for the final sequence," she said quietly. "Once initiated, there's no turning back." Aaron pressed his palm to the console. "Do it." Elara entered the sequence with swift precision. Deep beneath the planet's crust, ancient energy channels awakened, flooding Ragnarok's core with raw power. Across the system, the arrays lit up like constellations being born. A sudden surge of static crackled through the comms, Veldar's signature. His hologram materialized above the tactical table. Unlike previous transmissions, his expression held no amusement. Only irritation. "You damaged my fleet," he said. "A minor inconvenience. But I will give your species one chance to surrender. Lay down your weapons, and I may spare a portion of your population." Aaron didn't pause. "We don't surrender." Veldar leaned forward, his eyes glinting. "Then your world ends today." Aaron spoke evenly. "This world has ended before. We rebuild. That's something your empire never learned." Veldar raised a claw. Defiance until the last breath. Predictable. His transmission vanished. Mira let out a slow exhale. "He's preparing the Doombringer." Aaron's jaw tightened. The Doombringer was the Vorthal's most devastating weapon, a supermassive reactor capable of cracking a planet's mantle in a single discharge. The dreadnought that carried it was descending into low orbit, positioning itself for planetary execution. "Lennox," Aaron said sharply, "I need every available ship to flank that dreadnought. Keep them occupied. Don't let it line up the shot." Lennox's voice cut back through the static. "Understood. We'll drag them into a crossfire." Fleets mobilized. Terran carriers dove into the fray, streaked by tracer fire and plasma beams, weaving between enemy formations as they forced the dreadnought to shift course. Explosions flared across the horizon. Earth's defenders bled, but they held the line. Elara checked the console. "Arrays at 94% synchronization." "We need 100, Aaron said. The dreadnought's cannon began to charge. A sphere of gathering violet energy expanded beneath its armored plates, pulsing like a monstrous heart. The command dome dimmed as power rerouted to planetary shields. Aaron's throat tightened. If that cannon fired, the shields wouldn't matter. "Mira," Aaron said, "give me a channel to all fleets." Her hands flew across the controls. "Channel open." Aaron's voice echoed across every Terran ship, every defense station, every cockpit in the sky. "This is Commander Holt. You've seen what they bring. You've felt the force they believe will end us. But they misjudged humanity. They thought we were divided. They thought fear would break us. Instead, we stand in their path. Hold that line. However long it takes." A beat of silence followed. Then the comms erupted with unified acknowledgement from every corner of the system. "Lennox, with you until the end, Commander." "Mars Fleet Commander Rakim, we're already repositioning." "Lunar Wing Captain Desai, we'll cage that dreadnought if it kills us." Aaron lowered his voice. "It won't kill you. Because we're about to end this." The sky flashed, massive explosions rippled across the stratosphere as human squadrons slammed into enemy formations. The dreadnought veered, trying to stabilize its aim. Elara gasped. "Synchronization is complete." Aaron's pulse sharpened. "Deploy Phase 3. Across the solar system, beams of distorted light burst from hidden platforms, each one bending the curvature of space around it. They converged in coordinated arcs, forming a spiraling web of gravitational force. The beams struck the Vorthal shields. Where energy weapons had failed before, the graviton distortions succeeded. Enemy shielding collapsed like glass under pressure. Vorthal cruisers buckled, their hulls twisting under the impossible strain. Mira watched as the readings updated. "We've breached the lattice entirely. Their fleet cohesion is gone." The Vorthal formation unraveled. Without their synchronized network, their coordination deteriorated rapidly. Ships drifted out of position, leaving gaps Terran fighters quickly exploited. Still, the dreadnought pressed forward, its colossal cannon continuing to charge. Aaron turned to Alara. "Prepare soul flare activation." She hesitated. "Once we unleash it, the solar wave will consume everything in its path, including any ship too close to the focal point." "We don't have another choice," Aaron said. "If that cannon fires, Earth dies." Alara entered the final sequence. Deep within the sun's core, hidden constructs awaken, technology humanity had reverse-engineered but never tested. They drew a sliver of the star's mass into a focused gravitational funnel. A pulse rippled outward, channeling through every array. The soul flare ignited. A spear of condensed solar energy roared across the system, guided by the array network. Terran ships shifted just far enough to avoid the beam as it arced toward the dreadnought. The Vorthal cannon released its own energy at the same moment. The two forces collided above Earth like titans clashing. Light swallowed the sky. The shockwave shattered clouds, rippled oceans, and made entire continents tremble. The Vorthal dreadnought disintegrated, armor peeling away like burning leaves. The Doombringer reactor ruptured, incinerating the ship in a violent bloom. One by one, the rest of the Vorthal fleet imploded as the soul flare cascaded through them, vaporizing anything still resisting. When the light faded, nothing remained of the Armada. Silence filled the dome. Alara lowered her hands, stunned. "It worked." Mira stared at the sensor feed. "The entire fleet is gone. All of it." Lennox's voice returned, hoarse with disbelief. "Commander, the sky just cleared." Aaron exhaled slowly. Relief trembled through him, but he kept his composure. "Begin rescue operations. Secure debris. Assist any damaged ships." He turned toward the window. The sky, once choked by enemy fire, now shone with a calm, pale glow. A new transmission flickered across the dome, the Galactic Concord, faces wide-eyed as they reviewed the battle data. Aaron didn't wait for them to speak. He sent a single message across the channel. "Earth stands. Approach again, and we end the next fleet faster." He cut the signal. Mira approached quietly. "What now?" Aaron watched the sunrise over a battered but unbroken world. "Now," he said, "we rebuild. And we make sure the galaxy never forgets what happened here." The dawn brightened, carrying the promise of a new era, one forged in fire, held by resolve, and guarded by humanity's unshakable will. The storm over Titan's horizon had been building for hours, churning methane clouds into a towering spiral that glowed with static charge. Inside the observation bay of the Vigilant Spear, Captain Aaron Hale stood motionless, watching lightning arcs flicker across the abyss. The ship's reinforced transparent steel vibrated under the distant rumble, yet his attention stayed fixed on a single point, the alien dreadnought emerging from the shadowed edge of the moon. It wasn't alone. One after another, colossal vessels materialized, sleek, obsidian constructs that seemed to absorb light. The Silith Dominion had finally committed its full assault force. Their arrival wasn't a threat. It was a declaration. Commander Nyla Ivers joined him, her jaw set, shoulders tense beneath her dark blue operations armor. "They're deploying formation sectors," she said, tapping her wrist screen to bring up the tactical overlay. 3 primary war clusters. Central spearhead moving toward our orbit. Aaron didn't blink. "They're expecting us to break." "They've studied us for centuries," Nyla replied. "They think we'll hesitate again." He turned slightly, a faint smirk forming. "Then they know nothing." Alarms sounded across the command deck as crew rushed to stations. Screens lit with red indicators, rail systems locked into combat position, reactor temperature climbed as power rerouted to weapons. Aaron stepped forward and activated the ship-wide channel. "All units, this is Hale. The enemy wants complete submission. They've sent their answer. Now we give ours." His voice carried no bravado. Only certainty. The central hologram table flickered to life, projecting a 3-dimensional map of the battlefield. Human ships formed a triangular perimeter around the vigilant spear. Frigate engines pulsed, cruisers aligned broadside arrays, and the newest prototype carrier, Apex Meridian, anchored the right flank with a shimmering defense grid. Dr. Soren Vale, architect of humanity's Forbidden Energy Project, entered the room flanked by 2 security officers. His lab coat was replaced by a reinforced suit, not for combat, but containment. Nyla glanced at him warily. "You shouldn't be here." "I should have been here years ago," Soren replied. "Every second counts. We're ready to activate it." Aaron studied him with an unreadable expression. "You're certain it won't destabilize our orbit?" "Captain, at this distance?" Soren shook his head. "The containment lattice is stronger than the original blueprint. If we trigger it now, the blast will stay directional, mostly." "Mostly?" Nyla snapped. "That's not reassuring." Soren exhaled sharply. "Nothing about this weapon is reassuring. But if we don't use it, Titan becomes a graveyard, and Earth follows." The room fell silent. Aaron rested both hands on the hologram table. He remembered the early warnings, the Dominion's probes, the Council's failure to intervene, the century of tension leading to this moment. Humanity hadn't survived by chance. They had endured through audacity. "Prepare the Hell Ion Core," Aaron ordered. Nyla stared at him, stunned. "You're actually committing to it?" "There's no alternative." Soren nodded once, then headed to the engine deck. The guards followed him out. The decision was made. Minutes later, the ship shook as the alien dreadnought unleashed its first salvo. Beams of violet energy lanced across the void, narrowly missing the human front line. A pair of cruisers returned fire, their plasma cannons carving bright streaks through the darkness. "Forward shields at 78%, a tactical officer called out. "Enemy fighters dispersing along our left vector." "Redirect the drone wing," Nyla ordered, her tone clipped but steady. "Cut off their approach." Aaron watched the battlefield unfold, lines of color weaving between hulls, explosions blooming like silent stars. The Dominion's formation shifted with predatory precision. Every movement carried intent. "Captain," someone shouted. "Silith boarding skiffs incoming." The screen zoomed in to reveal needle-like vessels streaking toward the vigilant spear. Aaron straightened. "Prepare internal countermeasures." "Aye." But it was too late for deterrence. The skiffs accelerated, engines flaring as they locked onto the hull. A harsh impact shuddered through the ship. Metal groaned. Secondary alerts flashed. Nyla cursed. "They've latched on." "Seal all affected corridors," Aaron said. "Deploy response teams." From deep within the ship, muffled clashing echoed through the bulkheads. Brief bursts of gunfire, shouts, and the unmistakable shriek of alien cutters burning through steel reverberated across the deck. A security officer sprinted in, blood on his shoulder armor. "Captain, they're targeting the core chamber." Aaron's eyes hardened. "Then that's where we go." The trip to the lower decks was chaos, lights flickered, alarms blared, and crew raced past carrying weapons or wounded teammates. A sulfur-sharp smell of melted wiring lingered in the air. Outside the core chamber, the steel doors glowed red from intense heat. The Dominion troops were close to breaking through. Nyla steadied her rifle. "We push together." Aaron nodded. "On 3. They pressed their palms to the emergency override. The doors slid apart, releasing a blast of hot air and smoke. Inside, half a dozen Silith commandos turned toward them, their obsidian armor pulsing with eerie luminescence. Nyla fired first, dropping one. Aaron moved with swift precision, disarming another with a sweep and finishing it with a precise shot to the throat. The others charged, shrieking in harmonic tones that rattled the walls. The fight was brutal and brief. When the last invader fell, the chamber quieted except for the deep hum of the Hell Ion core. Soren stood at its control panel, hands shaking as he tightened the containment locks. "You made it," he said breathlessly. Aaron stepped beside him. "Status?" "The core is primed." Once we align the emitter array, it'll release a focused hell ion surge. Soren paused. We can only fire once. That's enough. They returned to the bridge. The enemy dreadnought had advanced dangerously close. Captain, Nyla said, their main cannon is charging. Aaron exhaled slowly. Open a channel to the fleet. He waited for the signal light, then spoke. This is Captain Hale. Hold your positions. When the hell ion discharge fires, maintain distance. The blast will cut through the enemy's center line, but we cannot shield you from the shockwave. Trust the formation. Trust the plan. He signaled Soren. The core unleashed its power. A beam of radiant energy shot outward, slicing across the battlefield. The void ignited with cascading waves of blue-white light. Alien hulls evaporated on contact, the dreadnought's outer layers peeled apart like dissolving metal. The surge continued, carving a path through the Dominion fleet until the sky over Titan resembled a shattered mirror filled with drifting sparks. Silence followed, a vast, impossible silence. Then cheers erupted across every channel. Nyla lowered her headset, her expression a mixture of awe and disbelief. It worked. Aaron's gaze remained on the fading light. It did. But he knew what came next. The Dominion had lost a fleet. Not the war. And humanity had crossed a line that could never be undone.